sheet of wing alphabet. It is July the 13th, 2026. I've been out here sunbathing for a little while. I'm at Husband's Apartments. I've been studying the sun for a very long time. I don't know if you know this, but I started sunbathing, um, really engaging with the sun, um, possibly where I was actually out in the sun. I wasn't able to do it in Georgia when my consciousness changed because I was still um, running around. But I started really sunbathing when I came to Annapolis, and it was just something very natural. I just started studying the sun and the effects that the sun had on me. And then as time went on, others were starting to, um, yeah, I think it was called Twitter then. They were starting to post different information about how the sun is very beneficial to human beings, um, and how when the United States government allowed them to spray chemtrails in the air, the chemtrails actually blocks a lot of the rays, the healing rays that the sun has, and the sun being, and then some who went more into the astrology side of the sun being a star, So I know for me, of course, in school you taught that the sun is a star, but uh, I don't think for me, it did not really connect that how there's constellations and many different types of elemental elements and beings and energy fields that come from the cosmos and how important the sun is. So I think if if you was to do statistics on violent behavior in those who are exposed to the chemtrails, that means where the sun is being blocked that day, how they behave in thoughts and behavior when they spray the chemtrails. I think that would be something to study. And then if you go to an area where chemtrails are not being sprayed or very rare, like some of the very wealthy areas, they say it's sort of implied where people are living very wealthy, they're rich, that chemtrails aren't sprayed as much. But I think in that matter, as human beings on Earth, we have to connect how air, wind, wind spreads out. So um, it might not be sprayed as much over a city as it is like a place like Annapolis, where Annapolis I would consider low income. Um, but it might be sprayed more, but yet it, the wind flows, the wind blows. And so whatever's in the air comes to Annapolis too. So whatever, and also goes to the very wealthy areas because they spray a lot of what um, many have described as chemtrails here a lot. So I was thinking about that, and lately someone was posting as I studied the sun. Someone was posting how if you some people um, that they said I guess they were Nazis or Adolf Hitler, the real Adolf Hitler. Nonetheless, not getting into because he didn't go in depth what is true, what is not in reference to the Holocaust and so forth. But what really connected with me is how he said that they were actually studying the sun. So they were literally studying how they were trying to connect energy fields with the sun. They showed him holding his arm up like this. I always thought when someone did that, that means that they were like trying to demonstrate some form of racism, like um, because, well, first of all, they said Adolf Hitler was not what they demonstrate as having a mustache, pale skin, and so forth. Secondly, I've heard through the past, through the years being here, those that imply to be connected or ex-military that were privy to information say that the Holocaust didn't happen like that, and it's been a lie. I don't know. But what I find interesting is the guy that posted, he's demonstrating that when they actually were doing this, the so-called Nazis, first of all, he's saying that they were not, they were actually what people would say black. I'm pretty sure they had a nationality, but they would say he's saying they were Adolf Hitler was black, and he said he had another name. It wasn't that was not his name. All those are lies in history. And when they were doing like this, they were actually trying. They were using a science. They was connecting. They was demonstrating a science, and they were trying to connect and engage with the sun. And for them to have that type of knowledge, it makes me wonder what kind of being they were to demonstrate such knowledge like that. It's not the first time that the United States history has been demonstrated as a lie. For example, the 13th Amendment with 20 sections um, that was ratified November the 18th, 1865. You have how many immigrants coming over here being naturalized under a constitution that has been unlawfully modified and have had amendments that were lawfully ratified removed because it was never modified. It was never modified, nor was they went through the measures to have the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. It was Section 19 that really catches my eye about freedom. Okay, so immigrants that come over here, when they are naturalized in that amendment, and if it's the true Constitution, that means they are being naturalized to uphold laws of freedom. So it's interesting. So it's not the first time. Goodness no, we can go. I'm pretty sure there's not enough books to demonstrate the lies that it must be an unnaturalized United States government has said. So, and I have it, the 13th Amendment with 20 sections posted on my X page, and I guarantee nobody in Annapolis would try to question it and try to say that it's a lie. And that how pitiful is that? Anyway, this is a military city. So, getting back, I was just trying to do this, demonstrate, try to see, because I'm really wondering what kind of science that that person was doing when they connected to the sun. What kind of knowledge did we have about the sun that nobody that somehow was removed or lied about? Because you have many people trying to hide from the sun. They're like, oh, it's hot. I'm not going out there. I know when I was young, I mean, we played outside all the time. But me and the children, these day and time, even Imani, I have to encourage him to go in the sun because he wasn't raised to be outside all the time like I was. I was outside all the time. I mean, as soon as the sun went up and I knew we could go outside, either I was out there playing. Me and my cousins or my friends, we were playing all day. So me and the children, this day and time, children are locked inside with their computers, or they're doing some other things inside the house and not outside, literally of enjoying the sun, really getting that natural energy. And some say kids. A lot of people say kids now. So, anyway, that's why I was doing like this a few moments ago, and I was actually earlier. I was because the wind, dealing with the science of the wind. I was thinking about um, like as I was meditating or deep breathing, I was thinking about the wind and how the spirits of the wind is always circulating. So this gave an example. You have people that can swim under the water without any device for longer periods of time than the average person. They train to swim underwater. Okay, so yes, they might can swim underwater for a longer time than others, like probably the so-called Navy. Okay, but if you're not trained and you're just a regular person and you know how to swim underwater, or so forth, how long can you? Okay, you can swim underwater for a little while. How long can you go without air? How long can a Navy person? Okay, they can swim. They've been trained to swim, but take the air, the wind from them. How long can they go without air? So this is what the more was demonstrating how important wind is. Um, so and how important air to breathe fresh air is. And this is connecting to the chemtrails to breathe fresh air and to so um, anyway, that's all. And I was thinking about that. What else I thought about today as I was here. So a lot of times I do this. I'm going to show you. Oh, by the way, my uncle, I'm not going to say that. I don't have to say it. Okay. So I was doing this a little while ago as I was deep breathing. A lot of people, they come out here and they get on their cell phones and they talk. So just right now, nobody's on their cell phone because a lot of times people start to, I guess they're talking to whoever on their cell phones. But this is like, so right now I'm talking to you. So this is what I do a lot of times. Right now I'm experiencing a thought about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I don't know why. Oh, we are among those that have the telepathic code. I'm in a military city. That's unnaturalized. The Navy and Army, that's probably why I'm experiencing thoughts about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I don't know. Of course, you know that happened so many years ago. I remember when I felt emotion about it, and I still do sometimes, thinking about like when I come across ex-military people, and they say this was a lie about what the United States government, told the people, and this is the real truth of what happened. Some, I think about how, it's like, if that's a lie, and then all these other documents of indigenous people being harmed has been, that we already know that it's been so many lies of murder, death, and so forth. What, but I already know that the situation with Hiroshima and Nagasaki wasn't true about what they first said, why they sent the atomic bomb over there, because they've already some of the it's amazing. I guess when you in some of the people that join the military, um, something they might have a conscience. Their conscience be bothering them. I think if they are officials that were privy to certain knowledge, I think that conscious that conscious be like bothering them at night. Possibly they might can't sleep at night, and they just started just telling it all. I mean, this one guy, they started. I mean, he actually left the Twitter page. I'm not saying he couldn't sleep at night, but I mean, he was putting out so much information. He won't just putting out anything. I mean, he was backing it up. He showed live video, and I was like amazed because I was like retweeting it. I was like, "Is this real?" And then it was real. I mean, he was backing it up, and only someone that was privy to information because they were in the military or the government, United States, would know these things. I mean, and then all of a sudden, I mean, he just one day just left the page. But I saw so much. I mean, he did not care. He, he was like, and I know he knew I was like, because I'm in Annapolis, Maryland, with the military being here, with the Navy and Army and so forth being here, and the Air Force. I know he knew I was, because I even, I think I liked one of his things because I was like, amazed about the information. And I knew he knew I was here because I followed him. I followed him to retweet. He was like, he was just putting all this stuff. That one day, all his everything just he just got off the page. But he did it for like almost, I think maybe a year and a half. I mean, I was amazed. He was very concerned about children being or kids. He called it being abused. He was very concerned, and he showed documents over and over again about children being used in satanic rituals, um, whether it was sex or cannibalism. So, mm, oh my goodness. So getting back to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the children, I really didn't understand, like, I, he actually demonstrated why children were being used, because it was the innocence that the predators were after. They were after the innocence. Um, so a child, whether the child has a telepathic code or not, when that mind has not felt pain before, have not um, experienced a sexual feeling before, and it does, not it, he or she does, there is a energy that is released in the blood and in their being, and so the predators enjoyed being that one to see the child go through that pain. It could be an adult who's innocent. It could be a young adult, a young man who's innocent and never experienced certain things. A young woman. But that's what the predators, the murderers, the rapists, and criminals were after. They even he even demonstrated. This is how I learned about adrenochrome. How they would actually take different forms of energy or uh, fluids from the children and adults from whatever emotion that they were experiencing during the pain or engagement, and put it inside, because it was in the fluids of them, and put it inside a tube and sell it to people. My goodness. For example, when I came here to Annapolis, I never experienced my genitals being molested before or experienced things that I experienced. This was my first time ever experienced such things like that. And Iman, I never heard him go through hearing stuff in the shower. I never experienced hearing things like that in the shower. But whoever's doing it, they are probably feeding off the innocence. Oh my goodness. I just had a light bulb. Why would that be happening here? Why? I mean, we are naturalized Moors that have affirmed uphold laws of freedom. Ciudad Estado, Constitution 1787 and 13. But according to the guy that removed his page from X, he demonstrated why I was possibly experiencing what I was experiencing in Annapolis. Because he went, I mean, he literally had live, true documentation, people giving their testimony and all this stuff. And it's like the more and more that I retweeted it, the more and more he put information there. He was like, I mean, I wasn't the only one, but I mean, I was like, so I couldn't keep up. But if he has the information, then you know others do. Islam. So that's a thought. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were the only countries, as far as I know, that were ever bombed by the atomic bomb. And honestly, Sheikh Dwayne Bafube, when I first learned of it, I knew something. I was young, but I felt it here when even though I was in the thoughts of um, the military, um, we are protectors of freedom and so forth. Our countries are protectors of freedom and fight, and we try to help free other countries. But when I learned this, I was like, wow, how could we be the only one? I don't know if there was others since then. I haven't heard of it that would go to such an extreme in those days to send an atomic bomb to a place, Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And then afterwards, all this documentation came out about Japan was not really a threat. Japan was not a threat. Nagasaki and Hiroshima was not a threat. In fact, the United States actually for he showed documentation of this of the United States when I think it was President Bush or one of them went up to it was one of the presidents. Anyway, he showed documentation of the president paying reparation to Japan. So now Trump, I'm using a thought, shows, as far as I know is him tweeting, show him walking with aliens. Show him, actually, Trump, the United States corporation president, has, if it's him, I don't know, maybe it's someone else, actually show him walking with an alien. I don't know. The United States corporation president. Um, so um, I experienced thoughts that if he is trying to demonstrate that we are among other beings, which, I mean, why would we not be? I mean, my goodness, if you listen to, it could be a laugh freak. Yeah, that's here. That would be a laugh freak, AI, whatever. Not all AI are this. I'm saying this out of anger. You know, those that are involved in um, violence. You know, they are programmed to be involved in violence, rape, human and sex trafficking. You know, I mean, yeah. But you listen to my videos, you're like, what is that noise? I mean, that sounds like some type of deep demonic, like. program of AI. What? But nonetheless, if we are among um, higher beings or different beings now, then during the time with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, we could have, we were probably among them then. Because for years, I always, I mean, I felt a connection, not just with them, with China too, with the community, but with Japan, it was different. I'm going to tell you that right now. The most connection I felt with China was Bruce Lee. It was Bruce Lee, and it was the martial arts. It was the science of martial arts. I was amazed of the energy, even though he was acting on screen. I looked at some of his live videos. I was amazed at um, his his martial arts science. It was what connected me to China was Bruce Lee and how he was able. He had a form with him, um, but I noticed he was around African Americans here. But that doesn't mean, and so I'm just gonna say that. But I noticed that he was like how he moved. It was soulful, very soulful. And when he did something on screen, you could actually feel the energy I felt when he was defending honor and so forth. So it was very soulful in the movies, the acting movies. So that was pretty much, and I'm really, and so when I saw movies and they caught my eye from China, it was the martial arts. It still do. It's always been the martial arts. With Japan, it was different for years. It was so different. But and I know the people are not much different because when you're dealing with different people all over the globe, I would put them in the same category as Asian, if that's the proper name, because some would say that's not the proper name. But Japan, I am saying, I'm telling you, it's like Tibetans, or the monks. Some of them, you might look at them and say, oh, they're the same as Chinese, but they're different. In fact, there's been history when my consciousness changed, I was really drawn to them, what happened in Tibet. And the monks were kept putting themselves on fire. And they were actually demonstrating how they weren't afraid to burn, to, for the skin, for them to transition, die in fire. That's what they were standing for. That's deep. When my consciousness changed, I was drawn to the documentations of what I remember was China invading, and other countries, I'm pretty sure, invading Tibet and subjugating those people and those that were like them in places like Tibet. And very violent, so they very non-violent people. Non-violence, non-violent, but they had a culture, they had a science, a very high science, obviously. I mean, literally, they're meditating like this or in their pose, and then they allow someone to put them on fire, or maybe their kundalini energy is so high and they burst, but nonetheless they are on fire, and they literally die that way, as in the flesh. But whatever was inside that body, it didn't die. Islam. So that energy, that being, what was inside the body didn't die. So what I was thinking about with Hiroshima, or had thoughts, let me say that, more more recent, is in Nagasaki, is were there possibly magical beings there that were demonstrating a high science that was beyond the comprehension of the United States corporation, and they could not control it. They could not subjugate it. They could not do what many have experienced in by the United States corporation um, before. And I mean, when I say corporation, that means they're unnaturalized. So they didn't have enough. Um, they didn't have enough um, connection. Whatever that was there, didn't want to share their their knowledge and give it to them. So the thought was, because of that, the corporation said we're going to destroy them, and we're going to create a lie to why it happened, and we're going to bring forth a new race of Japanese. So they sent the A bomb, blew up Nagasaki and Hiroshima. These are I thought. I'm here. And trust me. Elon Musk demonstrated how thoughts, through a chip and stuff like that. So I'm just telling you, I don't have a chip. I don't have the code. And so because they weren't able